The Giuseppe Verdi is better than you think. This ship, of course, is very expensive and probably not worth the cost, but the ship is actually quite good, and it surprised me and makes me wish that the mainline Italian battleships had these SAP secondaries. Of course, that is the main selling point of this ship, is the SAP secondaries. They have normal dispersion, they don't have anything else special about them, the same range as every other tier 9 battleship. They're just SAP secondaries instead of HE. And what we know from Napoli is that SAP secondaries hurt a lot for the types of armor that it can pen. And the 90mm secondaries can pen 26mm of armor, and the 155s can pen 32. So every once in a while, you're getting a good hit in on some of these battleships, but for the most part, you're looking for softer targets. And they're really, really good. I have found that they do a ton of damage in a very short amount of time at closer ranges. So how do you get to close range in a ship that has 13.2 kilometer concealment? That's really not that good. Well, you have a fuel smoke. Unlike the Marco Polo, you actually get a fuel smoke, and this one lasts a long time. You can get it up close to 70 seconds, which is absolutely insane amount of time to be completely concealed, assuming there's no radar and you don't shoot your main guns. But that's what this smoke allows us to do. It allows us to push up and maybe even get within a Neptune smoke firing range. You really couldn't do this in any other battleship. And that's what makes this thing a ton of fun. The SAP secondaries allow us to get our devastating strike close quarters expert to start this game off. And by any other battleship, I mean you could do it in the other Italian battleships, but you don't have those SAP secondaries. And now, because the smokes last so long, we can go dark again. These have really bailed me out of a ton of bad situations. It's one of the biggest issues with pushing in and brawling, is that you're so hard committed to that push, to that brawl. There's really not great ways of disengaging. That's what this smoke allows you to do. That's why oftentimes you'll see me playing around islands when I'm pushing in ships without these fuel smokes. But with a fuel smoke, you can make those plays even in open water. This side of the map is entirely open, and we still manage to make an aggressive pushing play. I'm not too afraid to push in when I have these fuel smokes, and I know that based on the timing of my shots, I can actually go completely dark, completely undetected, and get away. This Bismarck, of course, does not have that luxury, and shows us the issue with not having a smokescreen to disengage with. You're forced to turn flat broadside when torpedoes come, when the pressure gets to be too much, and you take a huge hit to your broadside. The Giuseppe Verdi, of course, doesn't have that good of a turtleback, where the Bismarck can shrug off some of those shots. You'll see towards the end of the game that we actually get citadeled in this ship, and we end up dying because of that. But it's still a relatively tanky ship. The main thing is that this thing doesn't have too much of a superstructure. It's there, for sure. And there's a bit of a step down at the rear of the ship. I'm sure you've seen that on the Marco Polo. It's basically a shot trap. It takes a ton of pen damage. So these kiting kind of plays aren't really what this ship is going to be as good at. Pushing in with your bow, that is where you're going to be your tankiest, just because of the armor scheme and the lack of a superstructure. It helps a lot. You can still eat some full pens, but it's a relatively tanky ship despite having such a low HP pool. Only 69,000 HP is not great at tier 9 when you can face a Musashi that has 97,000. Obviously not a fair comparison since Musashi is so insane, but it's still not a lot of HP. And that's where this fuel smoke gives you that extra survivability. We're already up to nearly 1 million potential damage, and assuming we use our next heal, we're going to be near enough on full HP. We've already done 100k damage. This ship is quite strong, and I've had some fun with it. However, the biggest problem with it are these main guns. They have they're just bad. Okay, you do not want to be sniping with this ship. This is a ship you need to be at close range with. These guns will sometimes surprise you with a random citadel, but their dispersion is horrible. They don't have a ton of range either, and they just struggle because of the longer reload, poor dispersion, and let's face it, 406 millimeters, that's not the biggest caliber of gun that overmatches all these cruisers anymore. So it's really a bit of a letdown with the main guns, and that's where the secondaries have to come in and provide supplemental damage. And they do, assuming you get these opportunities to push in. In fact, this ship can almost force its way into secondary range. It's so good at tanking. And really that does come down to the fuel smoke. I think the biggest hurdle, if you do decide to get this ship, is going to be learning how to use this fuel smoke. Use it in ways to push aggressively, use it to get out of bad situations, just use it to try and survive. That kind of thing. It's going to be quite difficult to be disciplined and not just pop the smoke and then shoot at something. We'll see that a little bit later, where I decide not to shoot at a flat broadside target to stay concealed in smoke. For now though, our secondaries are going to tear up this Shimakaze. He tried to do the YOLO rush, but these secondaries hurt a lot. They don't have the best accuracy, that's for sure. However, at the end of this game, you're going to see just how much damage these secondaries pump out. It's a thing to remember. These secondaries are not about the volume of fire or the number of hits, the accuracy. These are about they do damage when they hit. That's their strength, and they do a lot of damage when they hit. So you're going to see fewer secondary hits overall with this ship, but you're going to see more damage per secondary hit. It takes a little bit to get used to. Arguably, I could have not shot there and let my secondaries finish off the Shimakaze, but I just wanted to get him out of the way quickly. And that, of course, completely nullifies our smoke screen. We're spotted. This smoke screen is entirely useless while we are spotted. And that's why you don't really want to shoot unless absolutely necessary when using your smoke screen. We do still have 25-ish seconds after going dark again, going undetected. Of course, there's a 20-second bloom time when you shoot your main guns, so we can get this opportunity to use our heal, get back to having a damage control available. That's really what these smokes are. You can think of them as a break or a bit of a shortcut to the cooldowns of your other consumables. Getting closer to your next heal, getting closer to your next damage control. That's really what it comes down to when this ship is tanking. These smokes are crucial for this ship's survivability. We don't want to waste them. Look at how long the cooldown is. It's over 2.5 minutes. So don't use them unless you absolutely have to, and try not to waste them. It's really, really, really important with all Italian battleships, but especially this one, since it doesn't have sap to carry it through its poor dispersion. Broadside Prince Ruprecht, that guy's gonna go down, and now we're stuck bow on to a Guden Liu, Conqueror, and a Musashi. If you noticed the minimap as we decided to make this push back in from sniping and seeing that poor dispersion, most of the enemy team was pushing this way, and I still decided to charge them. That was probably dumb. It does end up me getting killed, but I did really want to test this ship's ability to tank and ability to survive. We already have over 3 million potential damage, and we could have had more if I was able to turn around in time. We do get the triple citadel into the Guden Liu, another devastating strike, and a Kraken. Unfortunately, Conqueror's got our broadside, and like I said earlier, we don't really have a turtleback that's going to stop citadels, at least from battleships. So we go down, but that is 238,000 damage. Like I said, the ship's better than you think. However, I still don't think it's worth getting since it's so expensive and really limited in its ability to do damage. It's just really good at close range, and that's not always viable. But as far as the secondary damage, it's very, very, very good. In this match, we actually managed to break the 100,000 damage barrier with our secondaries. That's how good these are. They're amazing secondaries. They don't hit all the time. They certainly don't have the most range. However, when they do hit, they're doing really good damage. And you can see just how much they did to each ship as I go through. I am having some decent amount of fun with this ship. Really what it makes me feel is a little bit disappointed that the mainline Italians aren't like this. I should mention really quick before this video ends that the destroyer that was carrying on the enemy team said that I played well and said GG well played. I love to see that the community isn't all a bunch of salty people, that there are some really nice people in the community. I wanted to mention that just because it's nice to see people being positive in the community. As far as the build is concerned, I'm a little hesitant to show it since it's somewhat unconventional, and I really haven't had a lot of time with this ship yet, so I'm not sure it's going to be the best build for the ship. However, this is what I'm running. I think it works. The major thing you're going to notice is no fire prevention. I'm taking extra healing, and I don't know if that's quite worth it yet. It's probably going to be better to run fire prevention instead of emergency repair expert. We'll see as time goes on, but this is what I've started with. Of course, we're taking secondary skills as well as adrenaline rush. You could try to run some main gun upgrades if you wanted to. However, I've gone full secondaries here. As you can see, I don't think the main guns are going to get that much better if you take aiming systems and main battery mod. However, I'll probably end up trying this later on as I play with the ship more. But this is the build that I'm running currently, and it's worked out reasonably well. The fuel smoke with sap secondaries is pretty fun, and it makes me wish the mainline Italian battleships had this playstyle. It's unfortunate that they didn't come out with sap secondaries instead of the sap main guns. However, this is what we gotta live with, and the Giuseppe Verdi is an interesting look into what Italian battleships could have been. Probably too expensive, given what the ship is. However, I've had some pretty good fun with it so far. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I hope you have a great holiday season.